Hello, film friends, friends of film, and everyone in between. Welcome to the Film Folklore Podcast Minisode. I suppose it's a bit of a emergency minisode, which we'll get into in a second. But I am with Justin Sound,
Hello.
and everyone else is sick. And and so
They've all
a
got
little
Ebola.
Yeah. Chris lied and said that he was fine and then invited everyone for a party, which at the time, unfortunately, Justin and I couldn't make it. But now, in hindsight, we're the only ones that don't have Ebola. So I suppose that's egg on his face. But yeah, so we a little peek behind the curtain. We're not ahead on recording, so we've kind of got caught with our pants down. But we want to put something out there that you guys can enjoy, and we're also testing our Zoom world. I did not try to put a background so you can see what it's like to be in props with children because you can see chaos behind me. Um, it's clean clutter. We'll leave it at that. Um, so I guess for starters, Justin, how are you doing besides not being sick? You and I are one of 50 people in the country.
Yeah, I'm I'm excellent. Oh, I have to clear my throat there. Uh be,
Knock on
let
wood.
me knock on some wood. Um yeah, no, I'm great. My wife isn't as good as I am. I have an update on her. She woke up a couple of weeks ago and couldn't hear out of her left ear.
Which
Uh
sounds, well, no pun intended, but it sounds scary.
It sounds very scary. Yeah. Um, and so, doing all these tests, going to all these doctors, this and that, finally get to an ENT and they start on a round of steroids. First shot that they give her is a syringe right in the
Oh,
eardrum of
oh,
steroids. Yeah.
oh. Sorry.
It's a nail biter. Um,
Uh,
and then and then some pretty heavy steroid doses after. But anyway, so the actual ENT doctor called her a few days later, and he's like, yeah, need you to continue those steroids and just wanted to check in and he let her know that there's actually a virus going around that's causing people to lose their hearing in their left ear.
left ear
So
specific.
I'm sorry, losing hearing in one ear.
Okay.
With her, it was specifically the left, but yeah, no, it was particularly scary for me to hear that it was a virus going around that could potentially you know, damage my money makers.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, I don't know if it silver lining is the right term, but if you woke up and you didn't have hearing in one of your ears, at least you know the source. I mean, or the high probability source. The
Sure.
downside is that that likely would mean you're about to have a shot in your ear, which would not be cool. So,
Not at all.
oh my God. Well, I hope she has a swift recovery. That sounds awful.
Some sounds are starting to come back. So we're
Oh,
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah,
She needs
we're
some. She
optimistic.
needs some. Y'all send her some positive vibes and good luck because she's had a bad run through the holidays.
Yeah.
Um. Well. Kind of going with the theme of everyone being sick. Um. Justin and I thought maybe it'd be it's weird to say fun, but maybe we're gonna talk a little COVID. Because we've never really talked about it on the podcast and for people who are in the film industry, I guess I'll apologize in advance for any PTSD that this might cause. But for people that don't know, we were one of the first industries to open back up coming out of the pandemic. It might shock some people, but the entertainment industry was considered what's the term? I just said it a second ago and I forgot. Not
Non
vital,
essential, non-essential.
essential. Yeah, yeah, we were considered essential, and uh, I do remember being as surprised as someone listening might be right now, but I was also relieved to go back to work. What was new to us was that at the time it was unprecedented. It was hailed as this big achievement. It was the first time in the history of our entire industry that all the guilds, unions, all the producers, and everyone had drafted up a single agreement that would be the outline for how we're going to work and navigate through COVID. And it had a fancy name. I don't remember it. I didn't bother to look it up because it's not relevant. But what it essentially meant was that we had to be in these groups, and so they were calling it like Group A and Group B. And Group A had set access. Group B was not supposed to be around set. There was a lot of rules about all the PPE, goggles and excuse me, face mask and everything that we had to have on, especially around the actors, because we should call a spade a spade. This was all insurance liability. It wasn't about our well-being. Especially they needed the actors to be good to go so that they could go forward with the shooting and everything. So it was really all about the actors not getting sick. We are replaceable. That's fine. Um,
It
and
it eventually
we
turned into mostly like a color coded thing, right? Where they had like
some did
the red
do.
zone, was the actors and the above the line
Yeah, it's
people.
the it's the beginning of Airplane. The white zone
Uh,
is for loading and unloading
yeah, yeah,
passengers. It more or less worked out. They brought in these COVID compliance officers, I believe was their name. Uh, the show I was on at the time, that person's name was Ed, so we called him COVID. Um, and you know, you made the
yeah,
most of it.
yeah.
I could maybe dig up a picture. I found a mask of a face that I could put over my face. And to play a light prank on COVID, I took a normal accepted mask and I put that over the fake mask of a face, but I let it hang down on the chin. As everyone remembers, a lot of people are wearing face masks like chin diapers.
Oh yeah.
Um, and so I was basically set up like that, but the face looking mask, which looked eerily good, skin tone matching for me. But I would just kind of make crosses by him until he would notice. And then eventually, he'd be like, "Hey, you need to wait. What looks off there?" Kind of thing.
Yeah.
We made the most of it. It was a little stressful getting the swabs all the time. I remember my buddy Sam, we were always making jokes when we were in line. If he went first, maybe he would come out and be like, "You want to go with the lady on the right because the lady on the left just tickled my brain." That kind of talk.
Hmm.
Yeah, because some people were much harsher than others
Oh
when it
yeah.
came to the swabs.
Some get
Um,
real up there.
yeah, what do you have any kind of specific memories or anything from that time period, like some of those rules or situations that you had to go through?
No, I also remember the same thing, just kind of pushing the limits of the COVID compliance officers a lot. At least, not so much whenever we first started working again, but once we got into the groove of things and everybody kind of got used to it and and other industries started to get to work and this and that, then, it kind of became more clear that it was more so for the liability and less so for our safety.
Hmm.
Um, and then so that's when, you have more of an attitude towards it, I suppose. But
It
um,
because having to keep a mask on for virtually 10 to 12 hours, I mean, even in
yeah,
good spirits, that gets taxing after a while. And
yeah,
I think for a lot of people, it wasn't like wasn't like fuck COVID and fuck these rules. I think it was just like Jesus Christ, get this mask off of me.
Yeah.
Like especially when it got into the hot months, then it's even worse. Um,
And you had all
and
these COVID compliance officers that not knocking their job or anything, but like I don't know what background they come from. Most of them.
certainly not a COVID compliance background.
No, I mean it's a brand new position, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure most of them were just PAs before the position existed. Um, but yeah, I mean so there was a little bit of bias as far as enforcement goes as well. Um,
Yeah.
when it
From project
comes
to
to
project, you would notice a difference sometimes. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean,
there's
I mean, some people would just be, less inclined to tell the higher ups, you know, hey, hey, put your mask on, versus coming to tell a crew member, hey, put your mask on, kind of thing.
yeah. Yeah, there's a weird irony that I wish I could give credit to the first person I remember mentioning it, but this is way after the fact. I mean, this is like 2 years ago, but uh, I had just totally forgotten that pre-COVID, all the studios and everyone were slowly going green, as they were kind of calling it. And so it was all these efforts for them to uh, quote unquote limit their carbon footprint and all these things. But the reality would be they would say, "Oh, we're only doing digital distribution, but you're more than welcome to print your own stuff and kill your own trees. We're just not doing it." It's that kind of stuff. And
Hmm.
then COVID happening, and the volume of PPE material that was used is about as opposite of going green as you could possibly get. And when somebody said that, it was just kind of like this light bulb of going, "Oh my God, you're right. Talk about a swinging pendulum." Um, and I remember
I hadn't even thought of that.
it's a
Yeah.
little wild when you think about it. I remember, I want to say it was Daddy's Home was the first movie I worked on that was green at all. And I had to grab a package from the office, and I was like, "Oh, I'll grab some coffee from the office kitchen." And when I went to look, I couldn't find a paper cup, like a Go cup, a coffee cup. And I came back out and I said, "Hey, where the Go Cups at?" And someone said, "Oh, we're a green show, so we only have mugs. But I mean, if you have your own mug, you can fill that up." And I was like, "Okay, y'all are using Keurigs. I mean, you do
Are they
you."
the refillable Keurig cup thing
No,
now
those didn't exist yet.
that they refill each time?
This is good old plastic Keurig
Yeah, yeah, of
pods or
course.
whatever they're called.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just remember that being like a strange thing of, being told like we're green, and you're like, okay, I mean that's fine. It's just why are you using the plastic pod things then? But whatever. Um, the random memories from that. But yeah, COVID was weird. And then, in the summer months, we had lightning delays sometimes, which is a normal thing that can happen in places like Louisiana. And essentially, it's getting out of harm's way when lightning is too close to us, and then they shut down generators and things like that. It's all safety related. But with COVID in mind, we got to take shelter yet spread out. And so you get into these kind of conundrums. So some shows would just have buses, and you could go get on the bus, but you got to stay a certain number of seats from the nearest person. And then a PA is going like, "All right, we have 12 person on this, like, whatever, 40-seat bus, we're full." So odd stuff like that was happening. But I mean, in hindsight, I guess I can't talk too much trash because I'm appreciative that we were back to work. I think for a lot of people is regaining sanity because the shutdown, when it was at the peak of shutdown, I think, I mean, I definitely was going stir crazy, but it was very cabin fever feeling. Um, but I also have children and everything. So I have friends that are single and gamers, and they were in paradise. So
Right.
that was
Yeah.
sounds great.
Speaking of the lightning, there was was a show I worked on a couple years ago. It actually just got released on Netflix.
Okay.
So there's COVID all over the place. There's like we're in the middle of an outbreak.
Everywhere you
It's
look.
it's taking like two or three people out a day. Everybody's
Ooh.
calling for everybody replacements. Like we're calling just in case somebody gets taken out. Like, hey, one of us might get taken out tomorrow. Are you ready to go? Kind of thing.
Right.
Just be ready in case we call you. Uh, and it was and so so COVID was hitting real bad, and then it was dead summer. We were shooting outside in the middle of nowhere. There was nothing around, no buildings or anything like that. And we got caught in one of these crazy, you know, um, like hour-long storms that are just one of those Louisiana storms. Sometimes it feels kind of like a hurricane almost, but it's just a regular storm.
You're
Uh,
right.
and so everybody definitely needs to take shelter in buses. Um, and so we cram in these things, and everybody's soaking wet, in,
That,
like
that is
cramming
no.
in these buses. And yeah, we're stuck in there for about an hour or so. Um, and Yeah, I just remember, that next day, I think, we probably had half the crew show up. Um, and on that same show, there's a follow van for Video Village, right?
Mm,
So, for our listeners, typically, our Video Village area is where our directors, our scripty, our various higher ups will hang out, watch video monitors, make decisions, our director of photography as well. And so the video village is set up in a follow van because we're doing these moving shots with cars and things like that, right?
mm.
So it's a very tight space. And I'm set up in the very back of the van, and I've got a tarp blocking me, uh, like almost like a tent that I've set up in the back of the van, blocking all contact from everybody. Uh, but
Were those
uh,
were those COVID approved tarps?
I don't know, but I had it fully enclosed back there. I had a little encampment. It was pretty nice. But not nice enough. So what happened was it took out one by one, from the front all the way to the back. It just moved one by one and took everybody out. And,
Oh,
and I was the last person to get COVID on that show. And that was the second time I've had COVID in my life.
that's your only time?
Second time. Yeah.
Second time. Okay.
Yeah. I got it at the beginning,
Okay.
as well. Yeah.
I actually got it so many times I lost count, and my peers, colleagues in my department were making fun of me because for a good year and a half, with starting with the outbreak, or the return to work, I guess. The return to work agreement. That was the fancy name for the contract. Anyway, um, uh, I I was getting COVID on every show we were doing, but I was getting it the first week of shooting every time. So they started joking like, "Are you intentionally getting COVID like to
Yeah,
get out
you're
of
doing
work?"
it on purpose.
So
You
then
get
it's
some
like,
sick leave.
yeah, then it's, I'm like, oh, who has COVID? Let me go make out with them. Um,
You're putting those positive tests in your pocket to take photos of later.
right. Well, and sometimes that I tested positive, I was asymptomatic, which was kind of unnerving. And
Sure.
I had it probably 5 or 6 times before I experienced the loss of smell that some
Hmm.
people have gotten. I had that once. Um, or sense of taste and smell. That's, yeah.
Yeah.
It was just weird. But then I finally broke the cycle. I believe beginning of last year, I think was the first project that I didn't get COVID in the first week of shooting. But it was a good like year and a half of just steady every project I did. And
All right.
um, my friends and coworkers, uh, it did get to the point that they thought that I was somehow cheating the system. And I was like, I wish I could say I was, because most of the time I was legitimately sick and miserable. So, COVID doesn't get better with more times of having it. It just kind of generally sucks.
Yeah.
You just
Right.
you
Right.
don't know, to what degree am I going to have it this time, and am I going to lose a sense, or am I going to,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
or a wild virus where you lose hearing in 1 year. Like,
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's what we thought as well. We were like, did she have COVID and like we just didn't know. She actually tested a few weeks ago because my mom had it.
no,
And she didn't test positive for it or anything, but you never know. Could have been. I mean, we don't even know for sure it was a virus or it is a virus that's causing that ear thing, but hopefully it's something
I've
that passes
never
quick.
heard of something like that. But then again,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
something like COVID was never fathomable. Yeah. So, um, a couple of the things that I wanted to bring up in our little mini-sode here, um, and because we weren't planning on having a sick episode, but here we are. Um, I had an experience today that is not sick related, but I just wanted I wanted your opinion on, because it's a pet peeve of mine that I still don't know how to deal with. But the long short is that I had to go into Walmart to get something. It was time sensitive, so I'm in a hurry, and I'm also in a hurry in Walmart, which is already miserable. And I go all the way back to the electronics area, where a man abruptly kind of like cuts me off and gets in front of me, but he starts going like, "Whoa, sweet shoes." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "I love your shoes." And I'm going, "Okay, thanks." And he goes, "Oh my God, whoa, dude, your eyes, are they blue? They're almost like purple." And I'm like, what the fuck is up with this guy? And he goes, "Hey, let me ask you a question. Who's your service provider?" And I'm like, "No, God, come on." So,
Got him.
especially, I mean, I'm already in a hurry and I already hate this. The the feeling it gives me is I want to be like Robert Stack in Airplane. This is my second Airplane reference in one episode. Um, when he's beating the shit out of all of the hand me out people at the airport. That's what I want. I want to
Yeah.
just somehow know martial arts and start beating up all of these solicitors that are in my way, and just get to the item and get out of this damn Walmart of all. And I'm at the
Yeah.
Chapatulas Walmart, which for anyone in New Orleans
Oh,
knows it's the worst Walmart. So, anywho's,
ever. Yeah.
so I locked up because the guy just had stunned me with a left hook, basically, with the weirdness and asking me about my eyes. Like, what the?
That's how he got you.
I
Yeah.
don't know how, I didn't even know how to handle that properly. So I was just going like, "Look, man, I'm really in a hurry." And he goes, "Well, good, because this doesn't take long." And I'm like, "Stop having an answer for everything. Like, I'm trying to not be mean, and you're
Well,
really making it
good.
hard." You know? So, my question is, how do you try to handle yourself when you get blindsided by this kind of solicitation and you're in a hurry? Because I'm just kind of at a loss, and I end up being rude because I don't know what else to do. And then I'm mad for like the next hour because I'm like, this is on you. You made me do this. So, but how do
That's a
you try to
tough
handle
one.
those things? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. If I'm holding my phone, it's easier, right? Because
Mm,
if you're holding your phone, you can be like, "Oh, I'm on the phone," and then just pretend like you have somebody on speakerphone, right? And then
yeah.
just continue your conversation. Just bring the phone back up to your, kind of face kind of thing. I've pulled that off a couple of times before. Um, just kind of like, oh, hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. So what is it that you need now? You need a cell phone battery? Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you hold up like the finger? You're like, sorry, sorry, what's wrong?
I have held up the finger. Yeah.
That makes me happy. Yeah,
Or what I've done more often is just kind of like point at it, just been like, so, oh, sorry, I'm on the phone, you know.
So I think we're gonna attempt to post this to YouTube, and in the comments, I want that's the question that I'd like people to give an answer to is how do you handle unwanted solicitation when you're blindsided by it? I think that would be fun to see what people say. Curse all you want, I don't care. And also we can
Please.
segue with that to say uh, we're on the hunt for a help with content creation for anyone listening that might be savvy with that or know someone that might be savvy with that that'd be interested. And if you like our podcast, we would like to be more accessible for all of you and the masses. And so where we need help is getting our content out to our social medias and stuff because it is a little overwhelming when you're not used to it and haven't done it, and that's why we are embarrassingly behind on that kind of stuff. So if anyone listening, you can email us filmfolklorepodcast@gmail.com. You can go to one of our socials and send a message. We will get the message eventually. Maybe not as fast as the email, but we'll get it eventually. And that's something that would be really cool and helpful, even if it was maybe tutorials, because as Zoe has said, we're all very old except for her, so we need a youngin to teach us all this new digital age. But yeah, that would be great, and we're gonna put this out as a little experiment. You can look at our ugly mugs. Well, Justin's handsome, I'm not, but I think to that, this is our little test run of a mini episode. Justin, any final thoughts to our minisode?
No final thoughts. I do have a shout out, really quick.
Oh, right,
We
yeah.
we got our second review on Apple
Ooh.
Podcasts. Yeah. I'd like to shout out Suze has big hair. All right.
What kind of big hair are we talking about?
I
Is
don't
this like
know.
beehive or
I love it
I'm
though.
curious.
Yeah. Anyone
Is
with
this
big
80s
hair.
Dolly or yeah, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pompadour.
Yeah. What does
Um,
Suze with big hair have to say?
so Suze has big hair, says, so happy my forever friend, Libra for Justice.
Oh,
So shouting out Libra
yeah.
for Justice there. Told me about y'all. I'm her sidekick. Keep entertaining us. Nothing but love. Thanks
Oh,
so much.
thank you.
Suze has big hair.
Thank you, Suze has big hair. And I can we somehow tether all of our reviews? Like, can someone that is associated with Suze has big hair make a review and
Yes.
then it chains in that manner?
Yes.
That would be the most pointless delight you could offer us.
Even if you don't know Suze has big hair, the next person that reviews this has to shout out Suze has big hair.
Yeah, I like that system. It's passing a torch, so to speak.
There you go.
Um, well, thank you everyone for listening and watching, I guess, for those who are watching. And apologies for my background. And we'll be back next week, theoretically, with less sick people, unless everyone else is healthy and then Justin and I are sick. Then we'll be in a new boat. So fingers crossed. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks. Bye.